Hi, everybody. We're going to get started in a second. All right, my webcam is being funky today. I was hoping it was going to work with me, but it seems like it is not going to. But I want to welcome everybody to Stress Free Systems Business School, because systems are awesome, but sometimes they're also a real pain in the ass to create. Our expert teachers are going to help you all summer long to create workable systems that reduce stress, free up time, and make life so much more enjoyable. I'm Jess. I'm a systems expert myself. I'm Julie's assistant here at Business Guided by Nature. If you're a client or part of the Redwood Circle, we've most likely met. But if you're new to Julie and I, it's very nice to meet you. For those of you that don't know Julie, she's currently on maternity leave, but she helps hardworking coaches, consultants, and healers grow rooted, blossoming, burnout-free businesses that are modeled after the way that nature works. Julie's a firm believer that if we step off the obsessive productivity hamster wheel and tune into nature's rhythms, we can grow much more sustainable lives, businesses, and even a better world. Creating workable, usable systems are key to part of this vision. So we created this program so you can learn some tools and some skills over the summer to help you better systematize your business. All the systems that we always say that we're going to create as business owners, this summer we're going to carve out some time for them, because they may take some time and some effort to set up, but it's totally worth it in the end. A couple technical notes, and then I'm going to introduce our teacher today. Our guest speaker is going to teach for about 40 or 45 minutes and then answer any questions that you have. You can pop any questions into chat, and if we don't get to them during the talk, we can go over them after. If you're not familiar with Zoom, the chat is going to be down on the bottom left of your screen. A little pop-up will show up on the bottom, and it will be listed there in the options. Also, a recording of the call is going to be up in a few hours on the main event webpage if you have to leave early or if you've missed it. So today we're very excited to bring you Finding Systems That Work For You, Otherwise You Won't Use Them, taught by the awesome Ginger Conrad. Ginger is a skills coach, consultant, and a healer. For the last 17 years, she's been working with technology and people to streamline business practices and create better work environments for her clients. Her current emphasis is on reaching productivity goals while maintaining an enriching life. That's totally awesome, Ginger. I'm all about that. She uses technology to help fill in the cracks and to sharpen the skills of the people that she works with. And she acknowledges the need for productivity practices and has been researching and implementing ways for companies and employees to be productive while reaching goals they dream of, and most importantly, maintaining a great quality of life. With that, we're going to dive in, and I'm going to turn it over to you, Ginger.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. Thank you so much for coming today. It's much better to talk to a few people on the screen than an empty screen. I really appreciate that. My first point is I'd love your guys' feedback. So if you guys have questions as I go along, please pop them in the chat, or unmute yourself and raise your hand, and I'll get right to you. We're going to go over what a system is first. A system, according to Webster Dictionary, is a set of principles or procedures according to which something is done, an organized scheme or a method. So we all have systems, and they get us where we go every day, whether they're conscious or unconscious systems. Everything from the way you brush your teeth to get your coffee to get out the door in the morning, to how you set up your business and answer your emails is a system. And most people, when they think of systems, think of technology and processes that you can work on the computer. But I like to look at systems holistically and take a dive into each individual and their systems, and help them find what fits for them. Because the crazy thing about a system is I can give you a system all day long, but if it's not going to work with you, you won't ever use it. And then you'll be frustrated again because you don't have a system in place that's working, correct? So systems also don't have to be rigid or impersonal. They can be very customized to you and how you do things. And the most important thing about setting up a system is starting to take that step back into awareness and being aware of what processes you already have in place and how they are supporting or not supporting you, and finding where they are supporting you is great, but finding those holes where they're not supporting you is usually where people need the most support and structure, assistance filling those holes. So somebody give me a system that they're having struggles with right now. Like, anybody here have one system that's a pet peeve you're having an issue with? One of the ones that I see regularly is email, task tracking, to-do list. Thank you, Mona. Reed says scheduling. Those are both great ones. Task tracking and to-do lists. So, Mona, are you a more of a paper and pen kind of person, or are you more of an electronic kind of person? Follow up, Ariana. Yes, that's a big one also. So these are all definitely systemable items, which is really good, because a lot of times people are looking at big picture things and they need to chunk them down. But these are already very well chunked down, which is good. And Mona, you say paper and pen, but it's often not sustainable. And that's a lot of times that is how we are moving so fast in our worlds right now that paper and pen doesn't keep up with us. You're correct. So we have to find those digital solutions that work for us. So paper and pen, there's a lot of solutions to that. And one of the things I recommend to my paper and pen clients is something called a rocket journal, or an e-journal, they're also called. It gives you the paper and pen feel, and you have the visual, and it can go with you wherever you want. But it also translates to a visual list, so that, a digital list, so that you can just have it with you. And then if you like, oh crap, I forgot my journal somewhere, it's uploaded and you have it on the go, and you can email it, you can send it to certain programs, you can translate it to your productivity manager, whatever you're using, your client retention tools, your Asana, that kind of thing. Excuse me. And then Reed, you say scheduling. What are you using right now to schedule? So has anybody here used a rocket journal? No? They're pretty amazing. It's a heat sensitive paper, and you will write on it with a special pen, and it sends it to wherever you decide to send it to. It's really fun. If I had been thinking, I would have brought mine and showed it, show and tell. Acuity, okay, but you also use a different Appointment Plus for a space you rent. So a lot of times when you're using a system, you're not using it to your full capacity, and or a lot of times when you're using technology, you're using just a minute portion of what that program's built for. Like Acuity is a huge program. It has many, many features and tools, and most people that are using it for the tiny little scheduling portion of it. But you have that beast in your corner, so you have a very heavy duty tool to use. So what are you running into scheduling wise? I love that these are all productivity style kind of keeping up with blocking off your schedule. Okay, so these are this is another thing that I work with is systems inside of systems. So getting into habit forming is part of a system, especially when you're implementing a new system. So say, for instance, you just started Acuity and you do have to enter all that data at first and tell it where you're going to be and what you're doing. That's great for the first time, but then you have to remember to do it again next month. And there's a lot to go into forming those habits. And one of the things that I like to build into any system is a reward for doing the habit. So like if you are working, let's go to like a nutrition plan, okay, and you have a goal in mind at 30 days that you're going to be healthier, fitter, happier, whatever that goal is. Part of forming that habit in your system is giving yourself that small reward so that your brain goes, oh, I want to remember this and I want to continue doing this. So if it's part of your nutrition plan is getting to the gym every day, then when you're at the gym, you're going to be doing something like reading your ebook and you're only going to allow yourself to read that book that you're on right there at the gym so that you get that dopamine hit right away and you are being rewarded as you build the system. And that way, it's called habit stacking. And that way that you will get in to the groove of doing your system. So on the acuity, entering in your schedule, you need to build in a quick habit that rewards you for putting in that schedule. And if it's becoming onerous or frustrating, then you need to relook at that system and see if it's the right one for you to fit. I like to use, just like Julie, I like to use the language of nature a lot in my systems because everything has its time and its place. And just like a cactus doesn't grow very well in a rainforest, your system isn't going to flourish if it's not built to you. You'll hear me say that quite a bit. But these are kind of things that we work on, and we take the steps to build. Sorry. So another system I help a lot and with is time management. A lot of folks that are, Mona says yes, time management is a key, and you need to be in flow, and finding that flow will assist you in your productivity and systems. Your biggest challenge, Deb? Yeah, too many things on your plate at once definitely is a big challenge. And part of that is the mental ability to step back and go, okay, is this right for me? Am I taking on too many things? And can I say no? And part of a good system is being able to say no. That doesn't fit in my system. That doesn't fit in my calendar. I'm not going to be able to do that. It's hard, but it takes time, but it will come eventually. You'll be able to say, yeah, no, that's too much. But time management segues right into that. And you can build systems for that and learn what your peak flow times are, and they go back to awareness. So you start tracking, you're like, okay, I need to know how much each section of my day takes. And you actually start tracking, and then the tracking becomes onerous over time. And then you're like, why am I tracking this? So you have to step back and be aware again. Okay, I'm tracking this so I can find out where I'm losing time. You have to remind yourself of the goal. Okay, I'm finding where there's holes in my schedule. I'm finding where I'm losing time diving into Facebook, or I get stuck on the phone with 3 people instead of handling my email pile. And then time tracking and time management are 2 separate systems that sometimes overlap a lot, but they're not the exact same systems, because time management means actually scheduling and doing things, and then time tracking is like, okay, well, I did XYZ PDQ over here. And then in time management, a lot of times, especially when you feel like you're getting overscheduled, schedules don't always fit the current schedules that we have, like that block down to the hour, the 15 minutes, 30 minutes, don't always work for the type of folks or the type of business that you have. A lot of times you need to look at different types of time management, like time blocks. So from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m., that's my personal time. I'll be doing my workout, my breakfast, my meditation, my me time, and then you block that out. And then from 8:30 to 11 will be my office hours, and you're just time blocking. You're not saying I have an appointment, I have 15-minute blocks in here. And a lot of times that it gives you a little bit more relaxation in your schedule. So you have a 3-hour block where you can go, okay, I'll handle this, or I will go through my emails. I'll have 2 hours in the afternoon where I have time and it's blocked out in my calendar. I go into my emails. Some businesses don't always allow for that kind of flow, but if that works better for you, that's the kind of system you need to lean towards, instead of the one that increments you down to the minute. Like at 8:15, I have to be at XYZ. Of course, there are times where we have to put those in, doctor's appointments, pick up the kids, those kind of things. But if you can time block or time chunk, a lot of times that works a lot better to free up that sense of overwhelm, and I have so much on my plate, I'm blocked down to the minute, I can't even. And then another step on that you need to look at is blocking out time for you. I know this doesn't make sense a lot. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm too overwhelmed, I can't take time for myself. How many times have we heard we can't pour from an empty cup? Okay, unless your cup is full, you're not going to be able to meet all those commitments anyway. So the first thing you want to do in your schedule is take your schedule and go, okay, this is my me time. If it's once a week, great. If that's what it takes for you to get in the habit of doing it, okay. Once a week, I'm going to take an hour and I'm just going to shut everything off and I'm going to go do me, whatever that is, whatever that looks like for you. And make that a priority in your schedule, in your system, to put a little bit time back into you, because everybody invests, we all invest time in everyone else, time and effort. It's all going into our business. It's all going into other people. Why not put a little bit of that energy back into you and make that part of your system? And if you make that your baseline of your systems, you will start to flourish and you will find those flow chunks much easier. Who here knows what I'm talking about when I say flow? Everybody here kind of heard about it. Okay, ever been there? Anybody been there? Occasionally, I see some nodding a little bit. Okay, and it's a great place, right? Things get done when you're there. And the key to a good system is finding that flow. And it takes, anytime you're interrupted at a task that you're doing, it takes about 20 to 25 minutes to get back to that state of flow. Okay, and we've heard of multitasking, right? That's was the keyword for quite a while. Right, exactly, Mona. Yeah, Bonnie. Right, multitasking. So try to put into your systems unitasking. Okay, there's ways that you can block out notifications, because we live in a notification electronic world. There are systems out there that can block out your time for you if you have this time crunch issue. Say I need 3 hours in my day where I'm not going to be distracted by the email pings. I'm not going to be distracted by my phone reminding me that I have a Facebook thing going on. There are systems that can block out that time for you if you don't have the internal willpower to do it, to get you into those habits of having those 2-hour chunks of flow time, of time where you can concentrate on your unitask, one task at a time. If you're doing email, you want to touch that email as few times as possible. You open your email, you scan through, you pick out what's the most important thing of the day, you put it at the top of your battle plan, and you go from there. Okay, you touch that email, you open it, you answer it, or pass it to the correct person that it gets to, right? Handle it, done. Okay? Don't go, okay, well, I'll take care of that later. I'll put it on the to-do list. That's not a way to stay in the moment. You want to handle, so who's ever handled a project like 87 times? You keep going, starting something, walking away. I do this with the dishes personally. I hate doing dishes. I'll go in, I'll start the dishes, I'll walk away, I'll go do something else, I'll come back, oh God, I still didn't do the dishes. Okay, so this is a form of avoidance. And it causes that dish task that would take me 15 minutes if I just frickin' buckled down and did it, to do 45 minutes or so. Okay, 45 minutes to an hour, depending on how many are there. So instead of going and multitasking, which is my avoidance, that's my personal avoidance style, I will go, okay, I am going to take 15 minutes. I will get as many dishes as I can done, and then I'm done. Okay, especially on the onerous tasks. This is a great way to, this is a great system to use for those tasks that are just you know, all your frogs that are standing around, the pile of filing that you haven't done in 6 months. You know, chunk them out into manageable, confrontable time units, whatever that is for you. If you think you can confront filing for 10 minutes, then do 10 minutes until it's done. Okay, these are all ways to get back to ground zero so that stuff isn't overwhelming. Overwhelm is either you're at max capacity or you don't have the support structure that you need. Okay, those are the two reasons that you're spinning in overwhelm in your personal or time or business. Okay, if you are at max capacity, you need to delegate, eliminate, or automate some of your processes. Okay, take a deep look at what you're actually doing and what is best for you to delegate. The stuff that you just hate doing. You know, if you hate doing it, why are you doing it? You know, if you're doing it, if it's for a small portion of time because of money or you don't feel like you have the expense, think about it. I have a client that I just spoke with about this. She was spending a day and a half or two every week running parts to different job sites, okay, where she's a designer. She doesn't need to be doing that. Her time is worth so much more as a designer than it is as a lackey going running around. So we sat down and worked out what her time was worth, because she's like, oh, no, I got this. I'm like, but take a look at what you're actually earning, because you are not just spending 6 hours running parts around. You're spending 6 hours that you're not doing something productive that brings in money, right? And I'm assuming that's the end goal for all of us, is a profitable business. So she wrapped her head around it, and we worked out a process so that none of that would need her to be running around twice a week. She was losing between 10 and 12 hours every week of actionable time. So, and then the value of that time, a lot of times people are like, oh, it's just time, I have plenty. But then you're in that overwhelm. Oh my gosh, I have too much to do, right? So what is that time worth, okay, to you? Is it worth a night away from your family? Is it worth, you know, the $40 you're going to pay somebody else to do it? Is it worth the 3 other clients you could have onboarded in those 4 hours that you were running around doing things? So those are part of your system awareness that you need to bring in when you're identifying where you need systems, is where you can recover the most time and or money. And sometimes it's both. Flow is a dream. Yes, so great when it happens. It very much is, Deb. So when you're recovering that time, you will have more time for being able to get into flow. Another trick is I have another client that has employees that interrupt every 15 to 20 minutes. So she's never able to get into that flow, right? So we worked out a system where she blocked out on her calendar office hours, right? It's very simple. It sounds simple, and she posted it and made it aware, look, if you have just random questions that can't be answered via email, blah, 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 or not emergency, I'm available between 9 and 10:30 on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Easy peasy, right? And that gives her the FaceTime with her employees, and it also gives her the ability to be in flow for the rest of the day without the 15-minute interruptions every half an hour. And then once you are in flow, you can lose time. So if you have a set time and you're like, okay, this is my 3-hour chunk where I'm going to work interrupted, set a timer on the back end. I've come out of a project before where I was gone for 5.5 hours and I didn't even realize it. Okay. I was in that state of create and flow for so long that it was like, it wasn't until my body impressed upon me that I really needed to get out of my chair and go use the restroom that I realized 5.5 hours had passed. So if you have something on the other end of your flow that needs to happen, set a timer, or have your time management apps that we're using to block out all those notifications, have one of those ping you at the end of that time so that, oh, okay, it is time to come back to present time and reality and get back to life. So I'm so sorry. It's very dusty in here. I haven't dusted and it's starting to get to my nose. So let's see. We had one other question I don't think I touched on.
Hi guys, we just want to hold on for 1 second. It looks like we lost Ginger, so I'm going to see if I can raise her back up. Maybe she just lost internet for a second, so just hold fast for a second.
I'm back.
Okay, hi, thanks.
Hi, I'm very sorry. My computer just stopped. I literally stopped. So, hey, I'm on my phone now. So no notes or anything, ready to go. Hey, backup systems we can talk about, right? So it's always good to have a backup system in case your original system doesn't work, right? I was trying to look at the chat to make sure that I had answered all the questions. We did lose Ginger. Jess, are there any ones that I missed? No? Okay. Following up with clients. Thank you, Ariana. I knew there was one I had missed. Okay, so follow up with clients is one that a lot of us have trouble with. I do personally. Follow up sucks. And it's best for me to automate it or give it to someone else. I don't know if a lot of you have a second working in your business, a virtual assistant or someone that you hand things off to that just don't fit on your plate. That's one of the ones that I always offload as soon as possible. One way to offload the follow-up is into a customer retention tool, such as the beast in the room is Infusionsoft. That's the one with the big muscles. But there's other ones out there. Salesforce is another big one. There was one that I was looking at the other day that was very intriguing and on the smaller end. But the hard part of that is the data entry. A lot of us won't even do that. So sometimes a customer follow-up tool that has a built-in data entry where you can just scan the card, the business card, and go. Ariana, Infusionsoft it was built for salespeople to follow up on leads, but it has become a monster of a tool to, it does what MailChimp does, but a lot better and a lot fancier, with a lot more things that you can do with it. It will send your newsletters out. It will put people automatically into your email lists, that kind of thing. A lot of times with these customer follow-up, the data entry point is the point of contention, because it'll automatically tell you that you need to send this person an email, or you haven't touched them in, a week or two, and I don't mean touch in an odd way, right? It means you haven't reached out to them. Sorry. So it'll tell you that, but the thing is, you have to get the data into the program. And a lot of people, that's even onerous to them. So you have to remember that if somebody said, hey, yes, please follow up with me, they are looking forward to that communication with you. A lot of times I find that that's the barrier. It's not the system. It's the fact that, they're just saying that to be polite. No, most of the time if people are giving you their card, it's because they're interested in what you have to say. You said something that sparked their interest and they want to continue the conversation, and give them the option to say no. Heather, what does Jen say? State your price, shut your mouth. So a friend of mine teaches negotiation skills, and that's what she tells her ladies that she teaches these skills to. Say your price, shut your mouth. Because a lot of people out negotiate themselves. And a lot of times we do the same thing with follow-up. We're like, oh, they don't want to hear from me. I don't want to bother them. Let them make that decision. Start the conversation. Let them either continue it or don't. Okay? Because that's what it is. It's a conversation. You are giving them your information. You are giving them the ability to say, yes, I'm completely and utterly interested in what you have to say, or no, I'm not. Please go away. And they will, and these days you can track if somebody's opened your emails or not. You can take a look at how many times people have hit your website or your Facebook page. Well, I don't know if you can, but you definitely can track engagement and give people that option. Okay. So let's see, she said, following up with clients. So Ariana, what program are you using right now to follow up with clients? None. Okay. Well, so you take their business card or information from wherever you get it, and it goes into the purse or into the drawer in the closet, right? I have a pile of those too. Yeah, so follow-up is hard, but there are support structures out there. What was that you said? Talking with my admin and putting it into the follow-up deck. Yes, so yeah, if you're using Asana or even a Google spreadsheet to track that, if you're small, is absolutely a workable system if it's something that you'll use. Once again, we go back to use. Are you using it? Are you and your assistant actually entering the data? Okay, so then we take a look. It does take a lot of time. Yes, so there are many, many apps out there that will just scan it to a list. If it's business cards, if it's emails, there's things that'll capture emails. There are many, many places that you can automate that kind of system. And that sounds like what it is. It sounds like it's a big time suck to you, so you don't want to do it, which is obviously, you know, very apropos. Who wants to do anything that's drudgery? So I would take a look at how you could automate that system. Do I have a recommendation for an app? So do you have a list builder like MailChimp, or what's the other one? Yes. So those have built in, oh, you have Constant Contact. I'm not 100% familiar with Constant Contact, but I would assume that it has a built-in reminder tool that lets you track how many times people have. So you're working on the initial follow-up? Initial. Okay. So my suggestion to you then is to just block out a specific time every week and chunk it. I would say, you know, okay, on Thursdays from whatever fits your schedule, 11 to 1 p.m. Over my lunch, I'm just going to do follow-up emails to the people that I've met this week. I would time chunk the initial stuff. Quit messing around with a spreadsheet. Figure out how to capture it as you type it into the bar, and it'll be in your list. Once they're there, you just go in and it's done. You take the 2 hours, and I'm assuming you have probably, what's your weekly capture of new initial contacts that you actually want to reach out to? 4 to 7. Oh, that's very, very doable in an hour. Do you use MailChimp, not your personal email client, for the initial? You can. I mean, it's very doable. And personal email client to do the initial follow-up. Sorry. You can definitely use MailChimp as your entry point. That way it's already entered, so you don't have to double enter it. And then just send from MailChimp, you know, say, hey, here's my welcome email, and go. Because that way and you can personalize it as you go. So back to Ariana's question, the drudgery of it. So instead of going, oh my gosh, on the daily, set the time aside once a week to do your follow-up instead of as they come in. That way it's not like, oh my gosh, I have to just do this one task. You can chunk it and then have the ability to get into flow on that specific task. You'll be like, okay, like by the third one, you'll be like, okay, cool, I got the stuff, this. They do love it when you get back to them right away. You're correct. And that's a very valid point. But what is right away? And do you want to be in an always on world? You can, when you make the initial physical contact, you can say, I will be reaching out to you within the week. I've really enjoyed our time. You know, expect my email. You can give them the heads up in the initial touch when you first meet them. I love it that you gave me your card. Thank you very much. I do this on Thursdays at 2 o'clock. I go through my contacts for the week and, you know, do my follow-up. I will be following up with you at Thursday at 2, you know, that way they are expecting it. Yep. Yeah, exactly. And that's how you work a system, Ariana, is you troubleshoot. Please do not be afraid of failure when you're looking at new systems, because just like when you try on shoes, not every system is going to fit you. Okay, you go in, you find the ones that you like, they look pretty, they suit the outfit, you try them on. Not all of them are going to fit, not all of them are going to be comfortable, not all of them are going to suit the occasion. Okay, so you find the ones that fit you by cost, by time, by usability, and you go from there. And it does take awareness and reflection. And that's a very good point. Thank you for bringing that up. Once you have tried a system for a certain amount of time, before you completely and utterly abandon it, take 5 minutes and say, okay, this is what worked, this is what didn't. do an after action report on it. Okay, I really enjoyed this. I really hated this part of it, and figure out where you can improve when you put in place the next system. I'm sorry, the phone is very different on Zoom. So do I have any other questions? I think I'll open now to like actual specifics. I've dove into a little bit of everybody's, main pain points. When you're finding a system, you definitely look at your pain points first. What's most onerous to you? What is the most painful for you to get done every month? If it's billing, or follow-up, or sending out the newsletter, you look at those pain points first so that you can free up that overwhelming ick feeling about doing it, right? Because we want to be in flow and copacetic about our business, and people can feel when something you're doing is you're just doing it because you have to, and then things fall behind and then you have to recover them. So find the pain points first. Try on a lot of different systems to find one that fits you. If you find it first try, great, you've got awesome lucky. If not, don't be scared to try a different one. Okay. Most programs, and if you're going for a technical solution system, most programs have a 30-day trial period, 15-day trial period. So you're not making a huge investment. Just put something on your calendar to remind you to cancel them, because yeah, they get expensive after a while.
Ginger, can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Great. I wanted to go back to the flow and time management topic. I've tried the systems of blocking out times when I'm going to do emails, or blocking out times when I'm going to, take a moment for myself. The problem that I'm hitting is that my schedule varies a lot week to week. I'm still launching my business, so not only do my business operations change week to week, but I'm working a few part-time jobs and life. And so I find that I schedule out all of these blocks, and then I have to reschedule them when a client says, oh no, like I have to cancel, can I reschedule an appointment? Or when something in my life changes. So how can we, give me tips for creating flow, but also in a flexible way?
So on those kind of things, you don't always, we go back to the always on point. I'm sorry, what was that chat? Oh, MG. So you don't always have to be on, Bonnie. When a client wants to reschedule, unless it's an absolute emergency financial for you or time-wise for them, you don't have to fit them into their schedule. You can say, okay, my next available is next Tuesday, whenever you have that blocked out. That keeps the flexibility in your schedule and allows you to keep the flow. I have a very hectic life too, and I do a Sunday night brain dump for the week. I put everything on my calendar Sunday night, and I do a review so I can find my open spots. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I have 3 hours on, Tuesday where I can just sit and veg or whatever, or do me, whatever it is. And to maintain flexibility and flow, you just have to, I don't want to say schedule. You have to plan for it. You have to say, okay, well, my schedule is very fluid. These are the things that absolutely are my anchors, and they have to stay where they are for me to function, for me to have a viable business. This is what's flexible, and you can color code your calendar so that these are, your time blocks don't just have to be chunks of blue, on the calendar. You can have pink ones for, stuff that can go away if it needs to. You can have different colors, for this block of time is flexible. This is sacrosanct. This is what sticks, unless it's a life-threatening emergency, of course. That's how you maintain the fluidity in a very flexible, fluid life. And then make sure that you're setting those boundaries with your clients so that they don't think that you're a 24/7 7-Eleven where they can stop in at 11 o'clock and get a Slurpee. You know, you are a business person and you have the ability to say, I'm available next Tuesday, not today. You know, it comes down to what feels right for you and what those boundaries are for you, and taking a good look at them and setting up systems around them. Okay. If you want to be a 24-hour-a-day nonstop shop, great. That's fine. Some people operate that way. But if you have business hours, it's very okay to state those. I only work with my new clients. I schedule all of them on Tuesdays. You know, my next availability, I just had somebody fall out Tuesday at 3. Would you like that spot? You know, those are all very valid systems, and it'll help you maintain that fluidity. I have a small person that I homeschool around my business, so we're very fluid here. Are there any other questions? I saw one pop up in the chat. Deb, you're in the same boat as Bonnie. I try to schedule and often have to change. So Deb, who are you changing with? Are you changing with the client, or are you changing your own schedule to fit your clients? It's usually your own schedule. Okay, so if you're changing your own schedule, that can be slightly problematic because you're losing out on your time and lots of balls to juggle. Yeah, right. We're always the ones that always put our stuff to the side. And things do need to shift. That's life. You know, nothing's ever set in stone, right? And there are going to be times where you will have to shift, you know, but having those set work hours, like, no, I'm not going to take client calls after 4 p.m. or whatever it is, or I only take client calls from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. You know, those kind of things. Having those set first in your being and business will go to numerous lengths to help you on those schedule overloads, and being able to say, I'm sorry, my next available is, you know, and that internal system, that is still a system because it's internally saving your sanity, right? A and B work schedules. What do you mean by that? So a different schedule for A weeks. You know, if that works for you, if that works for you, that's great. You know, I mean, a lot of times we try and do that when we're first starting out. We try to accommodate all of our clients' needs, no matter what they are, and we forget that we have our own. And if that works for you, so you could have an A week where you do AM hours and then a B week where you do evening hours to reach those clients, that's an absolutely great and very creative solution to a problem a lot of new business owners have, is that they want to reach those clients in the evening, but they don't want to sacrifice their evening hours. And if that works for you, I'd love to hear how that works. Are there any other questions? If any of you guys want to come on the mic, you can too, instead of typing.
This is Bonnie again. A few of us had asked a question earlier in the chat about whether there were other systems that maybe aren't as common or more conventional that we haven't mentioned that you think are useful to consider.
So systems is a broad category. The ones that I personally use in my personal business are, they're very simple and easy. The Dropbox, Google Docs, Wunderlist is a great to-do list, and it meshes with Slack and Asana, which are both project and time team management tools. Once you start working with more than just you, those are also, as a solopreneur, I'm assuming most of you are solo, maybe 2 to 5 folks, maybe a little bit larger. One of the first things that you need to look at and before you start growing is how you file things, because you're going to hit a growth point at a certain spot where you're going to go, crap, where did I put that? So it's very helpful to envision 2 to 5 years ahead where you want to be growth wise, and take a look at that filing system that would be beneficial to the amount of clients that and or productivity that you want to be having at that point. And start it now so that you're grooved in on the system and it's a habit before it becomes needed. Some other systems, technology systems that I use, Bonnie, are Slack and Asana. Asana is a project management tool when you're working with multiple people. I've seen people even use it with their clients, which is great. It helps manage a team of people working on the same thing. Slack is a great communication tool. It has its limitations though. And then let's see, my favorite are the free ones like Dropbox and Google Docs. I use the heck out of both of those. So yeah. Does that help? Okay, cool. Anybody else? What is one system that you have that isn't working the way you thought or would like it to? An upside of it that you found that was like a plus system. I have one that I was implementing for the longest time is setting my coffee pot as my alarm clock. It was great. And that way the coffee's done when I'm awake. And it was really helpful. And that's a non-technical, I didn't need an app or anything for it. And it was a system, to get me out of bed. So CRM, haven't landed on one that works. And what are you using right now, Anne? So those are like the CRMs that I am aware of. A calendar. So a CRM is different from a calendar. CRM is a customer management tool, a customer retention module. I forget what CRM actually stands for, but it's actually like to keep all the moving parts for your, and then a calendar would merge with that for sure. Are those two different questions that you had about that, or were those items you had questions? My favorite calendar, you use your calendar to remind you. Yeah. My favorite calendar is Google. I'm a very big fan of their calendar. It has a lot of functionality. You can split it into personal, work, and or fun. It can hold up to, I think it's like 30 different users in one calendar before its brain explodes. Or it lags out your computer, whichever one happens first.
I guess what I'm asking is, what do you use to follow up with your clients? To have the note that there is someone to follow up with, and then you want to follow up with them further down the line. Like, I don't have any system at all for doing that. It's basically like if I can remember, or if I get an intuitive hit, like, oh yeah, I should probably call this person. So just right. Like wondering what you use or what other people use that works.
Okay. I absolutely use my calendar. I say all the networking events or whatever I've been to this week, I will follow up with, and I put a reminder in my calendar. And as I go along in that week, if I'm on top of the ball, sometimes I'm not, sometimes I am, I will add as a note to that appointment who I actually met that week and who I need, so that I can be sorting through and finding their card or their contact in my email. A lot of my business is through Facebook Messenger, which gets really messy really fast. But the connection feature that you can do, you can scan the code in Messenger. I don't know if any of you have done this. Instead of like searching for someone, and going, is this you? You can literally have them open their phone to Facebook Messenger, hit people, hit scan code, and you guys can scan each other's information right there, and that connects you. And then I'll do my initial follow-up via Facebook Messenger. You know, I'll just like say, hey, I met you at blah, blah, blah. Do you have an email that I can add to my system? That kind of thing. That's my backward system that I use. But I set a reminder in my phone to do my weekly follow-up because I am horrible at it. Cool. But you were touching on CRMs, and a lot of CRMs will have a reminder pop up. You know, you haven't, and you can set the parameters. You haven't touched this person in 7 days. You haven't spoken with them in a month. You know, they've forgotten who you are. They haven't gotten your newsletter, that kind of thing. So as you get bigger, you can scale up to those things if those work with you. But I find that the simpler systems that I have are I'm personally more likely to use. The bells and whistles are great to look at, but unless you have somebody actually cranking the wheel, it's not gonna, you know, work. And when you're a solopreneur, the last thing you want to do is learn 15 different pieces of technology. So I find the simplest things that I can and use them until I grow out of them and then move on up. Anyone else? What's our time? We got like 5 to 15 minutes left. Let's see. Yep. Okay. Jess, you got anything else?
I do not. I want to thank you, though. I think that you've really given us some great information. Most definitely. I'm a systems girl, so I really like the coffee pot, and I think that's a great system to have right there. I'm going to start implementing that in my business immediately, if not sooner.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
I'm gonna go back to it, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I want to thank you so much, Ginger, for this great class today, finding systems that work for you. Otherwise, you won't use them. And I want to thank everybody for joining us. I hope that you found everything useful. If you have any feedback, you can shoot an email to contact@juliewalk.com. You can reach Ginger on her website, which is listed on our Stress Free Systems Summer School page. We'll send out a note when the recording's up, which will also have Ginger's website in there. And I hope that everybody has a great day and a wonderful holiday.
Yeah, thank you all for coming.
Everybody have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Bye.